This is the Gaelic American. We're here with Mick Shea Kelly. We're going to be talking about the Republican Socialist Youth Movement in Ireland. Over to you, Mick. If you want to give us a little bit of history of Republican socialism in Ireland.
Yeah, no bother. Thanks for having me on. So we can trace back socialism within republicanism back to the likes of James Hope, the United Irishmen. But when it became more mainstream, we can go back to James Connolly forming the Irish Citizen Army. Him and James Larkin were sort of the ones that revolutionised socialism within the Republican struggle and made it very clear that you have to blend the two, the national question and socialism. They cannot be separated. And from the Easter Rising, we have taken the works of James Connolly, among others, and we carry the legacy on today.
Very good. And that was at a time when workers were being oppressed, child labor laws didn't exist, unions were illegal at the time, and they had to build that movement from the ground up. So now it was the year 2000 when the Republican Socialist Youth Movement got started?
2005.
2005. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so young people, I'll start with the Patsy O'Hara Youth Movement. That was active after the 1981 hunger strike, obviously named after the NLA hunger striker, Patsy O'Hara. That was utilised as the youth movement of the IRSM, and they published newsletters, activism. The newsletter we are actually releasing our own version of next week. Venceremos is the name of it. If anybody wants to check that out, that will be on the IRSP website to read next week. So that sort of fell off going into the 2000s, and in 2005 young members of the IRSP came together and came to the realisation that they needed a revolutionary youth movement to appease or appeal to the working class youth and give them a place to go. We have commons throughout Ireland, throughout the entire country, Dublin, Belfast, Derry, Galway, places like that. Young people can sign up to the RSYM, put in an application on the RSP website. So we are very active in our main areas like Belfast, Derry and Dublin. That is where the majority of our activism is carried out, but we are also active in Cork, in Galway, as I've said, and in multiple other places throughout the country.
And earlier you had mentioned Patsy O'Hara. Do you guys still find that the legacy of the hunger strikers, and particularly the hunger strikers that were part of the IRSM, are still influencing young people today?
Absolutely, yeah. We believe we carry on the flame of the hunger strikers. Those guys made it very clear what they believed in, and we believe that we are the only organisation that are truly carrying that flame. That would be a big influence on our activism. Looking up to the hunger strikers, Bobby Sands too. Bobby Sands was a great man known the world over, but we also look to the other 9 hunger strikers who would maybe be not forgotten but not as famous or known as Bobby Sands. They influence our movement a lot.
You had just said there that you believe that your movement is carrying the flame from the legacy that the hunger strikers had left in 1981. So can you tell us a little bit how your movement differs from other more mainstream Republican organizations?
Yeah, so the mainstream Republican party over here would be Sinn Féin. They have long sold out the Irish people, the Irish working class. We are the only party who genuinely have the needs of the working class people at heart. Everything we do for the benefit of the working class. Sinn Féin has shown recently that they are happy enough to line their pockets and have cups of tea with the royals and lay wreaths for British terrorists. So, they have no right to claim to be a revolutionary Republican Party anymore. They have abandoned the working class, as I've said, and I don't think there's any way back from them. Unfortunately, they do receive a lot of support here still. I think that a lot of that comes from people thinking that if they don't vote for Sinn Féin, then the DUP will be elected. Unfortunately, that is the case with a lot of people in working class areas. Those people would also see the problems within Sinn Féin, but they see it as one or the other, and they're not going to vote for the DUP. But they don't realise that there are other parties out there, which is unfortunate.
Can you give us any further specifics on why people in your local area, Belfast, might be disillusioned with Sinn Féin today?
Yeah, you never actually see elected Sinn Féin representatives on the streets. You never see them. My elected representative for West Belfast, I've never seen him before. And, IRSP members are constantly on the streets. But, Sinn Féin have made it very, very clear that they are happy enough with the support base that they have in areas like West Belfast, and now they're trying to appeal to the more middle class Catholics and Protestants on the Malone Road, etc., because they realise now that they need the support from those people too if they are going to remain in power, because I think a lot of the working class people are waking up to them, and it's only a matter of time before the vast majority turn against them.
So what kind of campaigns and actions are your group currently working on then?
We have two main ones that we're working on at the minute. The Drop the Rents campaign, where we are targeting landlords in Belfast and in Derry. Northern Property would actually be run by Sinn Féin. They are the biggest landlords in the north. We would hold protests, pickets outside their offices, and apply pressure to them basically, to let them know that they are not welcome in working class areas. There's another reason why Sinn Féin have sold out the working people. They're now invested in property and things like that, taking advantage of the working class. Drop the Rents would be a big campaign for us. Our other campaign, which we are currently running, and we've been running for the last 6 years or so, is the Yes for Unity campaign. Sort of having debates and organising around the topic of Irish unity and what it will look like from a Republican Socialist standpoint.
So just speaking for yourself, what motivated you to join the RSYM?
I've always had an interest in politics. I've grown up in a staunch Republican area, working class area. So I think I would have always ended up in a movement. And, from my experiences and what I've seen happen to the working class people of this area, I thought that, I have to play my part in trying to change that. So I joined the RSYM. I grew up in a Republican family too. So I've always had Republicanism embedded in me deeply. And I've always cared for the struggle and looked up to the people that came before me. And I was drawn to the RSYM because I believe that, of course, the Republican Socialist movement are the only movement for the working class, as I've said.
And this youth movement, they would be supporting also like IRSP election campaigns, for example?
Yeah, of course. We are the youth movement of the IRSP, so anything the IRSP are doing, we would be full support.
Can you tell us a little bit about the election that IRSP was involved in 2022?
Yeah. Are you referring to Dan Murphy?
That's the one, yeah.
Yeah. So, we ran that campaign. A very successful campaign. It went better than a lot of people thought it would. The day before the election was due to start, there was an arrest warrant put out for the election agent of Dan Murphy, and he was told that if he did not hand himself into the barracks, he would be arrested on sight. And that is blatant political policing.
And I believe there's also other things that happened, right? Wasn't there bank accounts seized?
Yeah, there was. Bank accounts were frozen. that were going to be put towards activism and things like that. It's not surprising though. The police force over here have always been like that, and they will always be like that until we get a 32 county socialist republic, and that is the only thing that we will settle with.
What would you say to Americans that are under the impression that the Good Friday Agreement has brought about a free and fair democracy in the north of Ireland?
The Good Friday Agreement did nothing for the Irish people, nothing at all. The only thing it did was stop the war, and I don't blame the Irish people for voting for the Good Friday Agreement because of the heartache that they saw. But to the American people, it did nothing. Derry is still the most impoverished place in the north, maybe even in Ireland. And the working people have never been so low before. The society that we live in now is painted and presented to us like a fair democracy, as you've said, but it couldn't be further from the truth. The working people are still suffering, maybe even more so than during the Troubles.
So you guys are marking 20 years since the organization of RSYM. Did you guys do anything special for the 20th anniversary?
Yeah, so the RSYM led the Colour Party at the National Hunger Strike commemoration, and the RSYM led the Colour Party at the Winifred County commemoration there on Sunday. We have also held meetings within our ranks talking about how we will move forward. It is very important to keep negotiations going between the members so we have a clear base of what we're going to do moving forward. And we look back on the last 20 years, which have been very, very successful, I must say. And we are dedicating ourselves to the next 20 years, and we hope to make that even better.
So looking forward to the next 20 years, how can people stay up to date or support the RSYM's future projects?
Well, we are on social media. You can go to our social media accounts. We never ask for donations or anything like that, other than if we are running a food bank, which our youth movement in Derry are running a food drive running up to Christmas, and the James Hope Memorial Flute Band in Belfast are running a food drive. So if anyone in Ireland would like to donate to them, you can find out all the things about it on our social media accounts. On Instagram, it's rsym.ireland, and on Facebook, I think it's Republican Socialist Youth Movement.